Yes, people, we're back again. Welcome back to 12th Man. I'm your host, as ever, Dan Potts, and we have another show, and it's an Arsenal talk show. Now, I know Arsenal haven't been playing this weekend, and to be fair, it feels like forever since we last kicked a ball. But there is news and there is talks. We're going to be talking Andrea Berta. We're going to be talking about some of the transfer news that, let's be real, has come out because of the international break. But some of it is fairly interesting if you're into that sort of stuff. So please make sure you do me a favor. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you've hit subscribe on this channel as well. We are very close to getting to 40k. So let's make sure that we are there. Big up to everyone that's here nice and early in the chat. Big up to David, who's first. Big up to Forder on football. Alex, I hope you're well, my bro. I haven't seen you for ages, man. We must catch up soon. Big up to Ash. Hope you're well, bro. We've got Euro in the chat. Rashid. We've got Carol. We've got Junior, we've got Kim, and we've got many more that are joining. And also, welcome to all of those of you that are watching on Catch Up as well. Yeah, big up to you guys. First of all, I want to shout out football prizes because football prizes have been phenomenal for us. They've been fantastic, and we need to show them some love. And what better time to show them some love than the Mega Arsenal competition? It is the biggest Arsenal competition that they have ever run on their show, on their channel, and on their website. Click on the link in the description, and it will take you to the Arsenal Mega competition. Now, this is well worth a punt. There is an unbelievable amount of chances for you to win prizes here. We've got the Declan Rice signed shirt. We've got the 1989 shirts. We've got the Fabregas LED frame shirt. We've got the one that I want, the Henry and Bergkamp signed one. That, for me, I think Turkish might have one of these. It is absolutely superb. It's the one that I think most Gooners would want. We've got Vieira Invincible shirts. We've got Pires Invincible shirts. We've got Martinelli, Saliba, Zinchenko, Declan Rice, Trossard, and many, many more. So please make sure you go and get involved with football prizes. The link's in the description. It's 39 pence, and it's well worth it for that much money. For just 39p, you've got to get involved, people. It is a great opportunity for you to win some memorabilia. So please make sure that you do that. Competition. Where are we? Competition ends. I can't even see where it ends now. Where are we? Not too far. I think it's in April. So yeah, you ain't got long, people. You haven't got long. So let's make sure that you get your tickets for the football prizes. Mega competition, 48 instant wins there are. 48 instant wins. So look, that's the biggest competition they've had in a long time. So please make sure you're there because for me, I think it's a great opportunity to get some prizes. I love the memorabilia. I must say, I do like memorabilia. I've got little bits and pieces, but nothing so as big as that. So yeah, get yourself involved, people. Great chance. Okay, let's talk, shall we? Because FA Cup weekend has been here. We see Nottingham Forest go through against Brighton earlier on penalties, that was, by the way. And earlier on, we saw Palace absolutely destroy Fulham. And deservedly so, by the way. Deservedly so. I thought Eddie Nketiah getting the goal was quite interesting. Finally scoring for Crystal Palace. I thought Eze was absolutely outstanding today. And I've got to say, I thought Forest were probably the better side against Brighton today. Considering they're away from home, I thought they probably deserved to win. Probably unfair to go on penalties in it all the time, but let's be real, it was probably both teams deserving to go through. Tomorrow it's Aston Villa versus Preston, and of course Bournemouth versus Manchester City. I would love to see Bournemouth win, and then it really is a flick of a coin as to which one of these teams that are usually out nowhere near semi-finals, one of them's going to win it. Forest, Palace, Villa should probably beat Preston. If Bournemouth can go through against Man City, wow. Bournemouth, Villa, Forest, or Palace going to win the FA Cup this season. I think my money would probably be on Unai Emery, if I'm honest with you, if they, of course, get through against Preston. At the moment, I'm going for Man City. I still think Man City quality will shine through. I think they know that's going to make or break their season. And there's so many, it's so depressing that there's so many clubs that are in an opportunity to genuinely have a great chance of winning silverware, and Arsenal aren't one of them. Now, of course, we're still in the Champions League. It can't all be doom and gloom, people, right? But I just find it frustrating that we've not really got a realistic chance of winning a domestic cup or a Premier League title this season. I never had us down to win the Champions League. I actually felt like that was the one that I kind of accepted we probably weren't going to win because we're not great in Europe. We haven't got the European heritage in our favour. You need a little bit of luck, and we don't really have that. We haven't got the squad depth. We don't really have enough quality in comparison to a lot of those teams we're going to face in the latter stages. But I felt we could have got a League Cup over the line this season, or an FA Cup, or a Premier League. And what's quite frustrating and I find annoying is that we've got quite a lot of people that are fairly balanced and level-headed within our footballing community. If I would have said to you, Man City are going to drop off this season, you'd have gone, wow, Arsenal might win the Premier League. And I'm going to tell you it's potentially Liverpool. You're going to be like, what happened? Then I'm going to tell you that pretty much everybody's gone out of the FA Cup, bar Manchester City, who aren't playing very well. You'd be thinking, Arsenal got to have a chance of winning the FA Cup, and we haven't. Then I'm going to say that most of the route to our final of the League Cup was going to be Newcastle as the only kind of club that you might think difficult, but over two legs, I fancy Arsenal. And I tell you, we're going to lose to them and go out of that as well. Wow. That means that, say Manchester City win the FA Cup and they get into the Champions League, they've had a better season than Arsenal. You've got Newcastle, that if we don't win anything and they win a League Cup, they've had a better season than Arsenal. You've potentially got Aston Villa that could have a better season than Arsenal if they win the FA Cup. You've got the Manchester United or Spurs scenario in the Europa League. My goodness, if that happens, they've had a better season than Arsenal. Chelsea can get in the Champions League and win the Conference Cup and have a better bloody season than Arsenal. And Liverpool are going to win the league and have a better season than Arsenal. So where's our trophy? Where's our season? Where's our decent season? This is what winds me up. We're going to have another bloody trophy this season, potentially. And there's other teams that are worse off than us that are going to win silverware ahead of us. It winds me up, man. So look, I'm not completely writing off the Champions League, and we will come to that because Saka's return is massively interesting for that Real Madrid game. But let's just be real. We are in an absolute mess in comparison to some of these potential seasons that they can have. Now, I hope and I pray that Man United and Spurs go out the Europa League. I'd love to see Fiorentina win the Conference Cup over Chelsea. I would love to see Palace or Bournemouth or somebody like that to win the FA Cup. I would love that. But it could go to Man City, Chelsea and Man United again. And we're stuck there thinking, blimey, we're second again, trophyless. And I would absolutely hate that. I really would. So, long way to go. Miracles can happen. And boy, do Arsenal need one against Real Madrid. Let me tell you that. Big up to everyone that's here. Make sure you've hit the like button. Make sure you've hit subscribe as well. Look, we're going to get into it. The news, first of all, comes with the exciting news, I suppose, and positive news. People that everyone wants to talk about at the moment in terms of sporting director. Andrea Berta looks like he is going to be announced as the sporting director imminently. I've heard a lot of rumours that he is in the UK. He's at the ground. He's been speaking to the guys at the Arsenal about his position, and it will be announced very soon. Di Marzio is saying that Berta will be officially announced as Arsenal sporting director. There's also news up here in relation to Sammy Mockbell, who also suggests that Berta will be arriving in the UK, which he already has. And it will be sorted in the early part of next week. Arsenal are prepared to confirm his appointment as their new sporting director, and there's hope that he will be present for the game against Fulham on Tuesday. So I imagine we're looking at Monday for an announcement to be in time for him to be kind of there at the Emirates for everyone to kind of welcome on Tuesday. That would be great timing, to be honest. We needed to get, let's be real, Berta in a lot sooner. Now, a lot of people have said that it weren't possible because his contract wasn't actually going to be up and it weren't possible to get him in for January. A lot of people have laughed at that, poo-pooed it and said, oh, this is a disgrace to be getting him in now. It's too late. I kind of feel for it. I kind of get it. I understand it. I appreciate that there's been a lot of people that are talking about this being a bit of a farce and January being a disgrace. I'm exhausted by that and over January. I need to look forwards now because it's all I've got. I know what's going to happen this season. I don't want to keep saying it because people keep looking at it as pessimistic, but I feel like it's realistic. I can't see us getting across the line against Real Madrid, and I can't see a miracle happening in the league. So I think it's another trophyless season. So I'm kind of done with the negatives now. I've kind of written this season off, if I'm honest. There's only two games I'm looking forward to now, and that's Real Madrid at home and Real Madrid away. And I I just really hope and pray that Real Madrid away, we're not 3-0 down. Now, let's talk about the positives of this signing, because a lot of people have spoken about this, but there weren't real kind of reassurance that it's going to get done. It looks now like within the next 48 hours, he's going to be announced. Okay. So I do feel like there's a lot of positive thoughts about this now getting done. When I look at the players he's brought in before and I look at what he's done at Atletico Madrid, that definitely fills me with a lot of confidence. People have said about the players he's brought in, the gems that he's brought in, the shrewd signings he's brought in, the players that no one had really heard of. You can go through a whole list of them. And you can look at the signings that he's brought back to Atletico Madrid as shrewd business as well. Antoine Griezmann, Fernando Torres, Morata. You can look at the signings of David Villa and Luis Suarez from Barcelona, who were fantastic at Atletico Madrid. You can also look at Rodri from Villarreal for £20 million. Manchester City have then turned him into a Ballon d'Or winner. He was the one who noticed that at Villarreal and said, this guy's got something about him. I'm going to bring him to Atletico Madrid. And then he went to Man City. The rest is history. He's won trebles and Ballon d'Ors. He's also been pivotal to both the signings of Matheus Cunha, who's now at Wolves, who Arsenal were looking at. Well, he signed him at Atletico Madrid. He also signed Diogo Jota from now at Liverpool. Before that was at Wolves. He was at Atletico before that. Berta was the signing of Diogo Jota. And you can look more recently to the signings of Julian Alvarez at Manchester City, who a lot of Liverpool fans say they really want. So I think it's about time that we get someone in that knows what they're doing, right? We can go back decades now. Before David Dein and after David Dein is very, very different. David Dein I grew up on, so it's all I really knew. Since he's left, we haven't had anywhere near the comparison or replacement. There's not been the level of intensity, the passion, the desire, the level of control at that level. Arsene Wenger, in my opinion, a lot of his downfall was David Dein leaving. People don't appreciate that. I understand Wenger had to go at the end, and I was one of those guys. But I look at when you look at David Dein leaving in 2007, that was the decline of Arsenal, really. I remember moving to the Emirates 2006, 2007, David Dein leaving, Patrick Vieira and Ashley Cole had gone. And it was like this invincible side's about to be broken up. We're going a different route. And Arsene Wenger doesn't no longer have a right-hand man. Ivan Gazidis come in, and we all know what happened there. Hus Fahmy and Raul Sanllehi had kind of come in alongside that and then a little bit more after it. And then when he went to AC Milan, you kind of looked at Raul leaving and Edu coming in to be that guy. And we all know what Edu was about. He was an invincible. He understood what it was like to play for Arsenal and wear the shirt, just like Mikel Arteta. But there was no experience there at board level. There was no experience at management level. What we've now got is a guy who actually knows and understands what it is like to work alongside an elite manager and have an understanding of elite level of football. And he should be the most powerful voice at Arsenal right now. The Cronkies need to allow Andrea Berta, who I think is the best appointment in the Cronky reign, by the way. Yeah, not that it's difficult because I'm not a fan of the Cronkies. However, I look at what they've done and what they've tried to do here. At least they haven't gone and replaced him with Jason Ato or Thomas Rosicky. They've actually gone and said, right, this guy's the guy that has the experience. If you look at the names on the list, Dan Ashworth didn't want him. Thomas Rosicky didn't want him. Jason Ato, absolutely no way. Scuro, I thought was going to be too hard to get from Monaco, but I didn't actually love the appointment, if I'm honest. And same with Roberto Alabe. Although he's done some good things at Real Sociedad and has won trophies there and has been there forever, I know he's got good links with Zubamendi, and we've obviously signed Erdegaard and Marino, and Isak was there. I don't think he was the number one appointment. Andrea Berta absolutely was. And I must say that this now is probably the first time that I'm aligned with what they're doing above at board level. It's the only time I've looked at it and gone, wow, I said I wanted Berta and it looks like I'm getting him. You know how many times we've been there thinking transfer windows, go and get him, we end up with someone else. Like when Unai Emery was in charge, I didn't believe he wanted any of those players. He definitely didn't want Pepe because he asked for Zaha. He definitely didn't want Dani Ceballos because he asked for Thomas Partey, only for Arteta to then be given him. He didn't want David Luiz. He wanted Upamecano. Now, a lot of people laugh at that now, but at the time, he was unbelievable for Leipzig before he went to Munich. And he was given David Luiz. So we look now and we think, yeah, those aren't the things that fill us with confidence. Now, I appreciate you can say that recently our last two windows have been a shambles and nobody wanted Sterling. Everybody wanted a proper wide forward or a central striker. But we ended up with Raheem Sterling. And if that happens again under Andrea Berta, we'll know it's not Berta. It's the Cronkies that are allowing Arteta to have the voice of reason, so to speak, in their eyes. We need Andrea Berta to have this voice. Now, he's got two things he can do, Andrea Berta. He's got to look at this relationship with Mikel Arteta and he's got to try and work him out pretty quickly. I've got no doubt that Mikel Arteta wants the best for Arsenal Football Club. I've never doubted that. I've never said that he's come in and as a Spurs fan, as a spy to try and mess it all up for us. I've always believed Mikel Arteta wants to win. And I've always believed that he's given 110% to try and win. I just don't think it's been good enough. And I think his 100% best is not good enough to get Arsenal across the line. That's just my opinion. A lot of people believe, no, it's out of order because he's had X, Y, Z, injuries, VAR, red cards have affected him. I don't get all them excuses. I just look at Mikel Arteta and I look at what I believe he's done. And I think it's a great job to get us challenging, but I don't think he's the guy to get us across the line. I think he can take a team from 8th to 2nd. I don't think he can take a team from 8th to winning. That's just what I'm at. That's what I'm about. And people don't like to hear that. Show me the evidence that I'm wrong. Show me the evidence to go, well, Dan, you're wrong because he's won 5 trophies here. There isn't that evidence. So I think Andrea Berta needs to look alongside Mikel Arteta right now and say, right, I know that you would like Nico Williams, Sesko, Zubimendi, and Juan Garcia, let's just say. We need to scrap that up, Mikel. Because as much as I appreciate some of those identifiable targets, this is who we're going to get. I would rather leave the transfer business in the hands of Andrea Berta than I would Mikel Arteta. Because as much as I think Arteta's brought in 7 or 8 players that from the 31 he's brought in look okay, the other 20 plus look pretty poor. Let's be real. Yeah? You can name goalkeepers galore. You can add Neto now to that. You can add Matt Ryan. You can add Matt Turner. You can add Runnison. Yeah? You can add the defence of Austin Trusty and the defenders of Pablo Marie and Cedric Suarez, Tavares. You can now, to be fair, look at Zinchenko and think that although that was a good signing to get us from 4th Champions League sort of going for it, he's not really been a magnificent signing, has he? Jesus hasn't been a magnificent signing, neither has Kai Havertz, neither has Fabio Vieira, neither has Marquinhos. I don't look at any of the signings and go, yeah, you're harsh there, Dan. They've all really flopped or not failed to impress, right? So there's kind of 15, 16 you can just roll off your tongue that you think, yeah, haven't worked out. And I'm not saying that we're going to do that with Berta, by the way, and he's not going to get a couple of wrong in the next 5 years. It's what happens when you take a risk. But I'm hoping that he looks at the gems and he looks at those Diogo Jota and Mateus Cunha and Rodri types of business that he's done at Atletico Madrid now and thinks, right, let's get these 3 players in. Let's go and get a midfielder that, let's be honest, no one's heard of, but I know is a gem. Because you know when we get that and you think, who? You link with someone. Who? Everyone goes. I tell you why I'm not going to do that now with Andrea Berta. And I was going to do it with Edu and Arteta because, let's be real, they were taking a punt on Fabi Vieira and Lokonga and Tavares when we were all going who, and it hasn't worked out, right? I'm sure 7 years ago, when he signed Rodri from Villarreal, everyone went, who? I am sure when he signed Diogo Jota, everybody went, who the hell's that? Who the hell's Mateus Cunha? Yeah? So now I'm getting more faith this summer that we'll actually get a couple of good players. I might not have the summer that I'm going to look at now and go, wow, the Cronkies have sorted us out, or the Cronkies have not left us short, or wow, we've got a squad of 20 players here who are going to fight on all 4 fronts. I'm not going to go that far yet, but I will definitely say that I've definitely got more confidence and reassurance that our summer will now be a hell of a lot more positive than it would have been with the likes of Edu or Jason Ato. Now, lastly, what I'll say about Berta is Mikel Arteta needs to listen to this guy. Mikel Arteta cannot remain stubborn or arrogant. He needs to look at this guy and say, you know what you're doing on this field and you're here to help. He needs to understand that Andrea Berta is not here to cause a rift. He's not here to argue with him. He's not here to tell him he's crap at his job. He's here to ask him, what is it that you want position-wise? I can help you here. You might like and love, in fact, a Benjamin Sesko, but I can help you get Isak? Or have you thought about Gyökeres if Isak isn't available? Are you going to look towards the left-hand side with just Nico Williams, or do you think that Ademola Lookman might be a good option? Do you think that Florian Wirtz might be available, or should we go for a Mateus Cunha, who I know from Atletico Madrid? These are the sort of questions that he should be asking now. And I'm sure they've spoken already. Mikel Arteta isn't going to be introduced on the first day of his job by saying, oh, who are you? What do you do? They've spoken. They know what's going on. I think Arteta probably looked at the list and thought, yeah, I'd like him, please. I'd be very, very surprised if Mikel Arteta didn't have a say on who comes in, because we've seen how powerful his voice is. There's a lot of rumours outside and a lot of loose rumours that Edu had a bit of an argument. That's why he's gone, because his voice was no longer powerful enough and that Mikel Arteta was the guy that was being listened to over him. So he left, and he's going to do good things with Forest, who I think are in a good position, by the way, under Marinakis. I must say that I don't expect Forest to disappear next season. I don't think this will be a Nottingham Forest that we see now finishing 15th again. I think Nottingham Forest, if it's a bad season next season, will still be floating around 6th, 7th or 8th. I don't think Forest have got a squad that's anywhere near weak enough to not be. I look at the players they've got and they've brought in. I've been really, really impressed. And we all laughed when they brought 35 players in, but Marinakis is serious. And yeah, they are serious about Gyökeres from what I'm hearing. Don't think he'll go to Forest. Think they've got the money for him. But I think that's the sort of player they want to take him across the line to the next level. And that, for me, shows ambition. So people laughing when Nottingham Forest are going for players like Gyökeres, what are we laughing about? Yeah, they might say no and not end up with him, but at least show the ambition. At least say, look, I want Gyökeres. I'll probably take Jonathan David, but I want Gyökeres first. Oh, okay, we've ended up with Jonathan David. All good. You shouldn't be laughing at that. For me, that shows the ambition that Arsenal should be. That's why I wanted us to be in the hat for Mbappe. We were never going to get him. He was always going Madrid, but at least be in the hat. This is what we should be doing. And this is why I've said if Arteta isn't the guy that people believe he is, if it gets the next season and we haven't won anything again and we do have to move him on, let's be in the names for the hats at the very top. Let's not just go for Xabi Alonso because he's the next newest best young manager. Let's go for him alongside Simone Inzaghi. Let's go for him alongside Diego Simeone. Let's go for him alongside Carlo Ancelotti. Yeah, let's be in for all those big names. I don't want to go and get a De Zerbi or a Hertzler or a Nuno or a Thomas Frank. That's not what I want. I'd rather just keep Arteta. Yeah. If I'm honest with you, I'd rather keep Arteta than some of the other young managers coming around like Xavi, like Dino over at Frankfurt. These guys that we're being linked with. I don't really want those guys, if I'm honest. I want to be the team that has the manager that everyone looks at and goes, "Whoa, that's scary. Okay, they're serious now." I want a transfer window this summer with Arteta and co, with now Andrea Berta, to window to shut and everyone to go, wow, Arsenal are serious, you know. That is a serious, serious window. Now, to do that, we're going to have to spend about £350 million. People might laugh at that, but that is the target. That is the number that we're going to have to be spending. Manchester City are going to spend 300 million. Speaking to LB, he said, we've spent 200. We need 500 million to be spent on this rebuild. Another 300 is going to come in the summer. Chelsea are going to spend that because they do. Manchester United are probably going to do that now they've got a new structure in place. Liverpool are going to have to because of the situation they found themselves in. Arsenal are going to have to spend big. This isn't like give us 150 million on a summer transfer window and let's see if we can win the league. We're going to have to spend double that. And on top of that, you sell players and you get your 100 to 150 million pounds that you put on that, and then it becomes net spend or whatever people like to call it. This is a serious one, man. Like, I don't understand why people believe that a couple of players and we're there. It's not a couple of players and we're there. A winger and a striker and we can go and win the league. I think that's naive. I think there's a lot of areas that we're short. And if I'm honest with you, the frustrating thing for me is the areas that I believe that we're still short in are areas that we should have fixed a while ago. Areas that I look at and think, why have we still not got a replacement for these guys? Some of which left a long time ago. Why can't we get a player that replaces the goals of Aubameyang who left in 2022? Why can't we look to upgrade on Granit Xhaka, who's a left eight that left 2 seasons ago? Why can't we look at a left back that's clearly better than Kieran Tierney? Why are we still in a position where it's Martinelli and Trossard and neither of them really are holding down that position? Why do we still have no cover for Saka and Saliba when they're clearly our two most important players? So those questions haven't been addressed for probably 3 or 4 seasons now. So it's time to do that now. I'm not saying go and sign 9 players because I know that's unrealistic, but I think we have to sign 5 or 6 at the bare minimum. There's probably 4 positions in the first 11 that you can debate about who you play. Everybody else knows who's playing where. Everybody knows Raya's our best goalkeeper. Everybody knows it's Gabriel and Saliba. And everybody knows that it's probably Timber now. But some people would flip a coin and say it's Ben White. Most people believe that Partey, Erdegaard, and then obviously Declan Rice is probably at the best kind of free right now. But a lot of people believe Partey might be off. So that leaves the left 8 position if Rice is the 6. Then you know Saka is playing. That leaves basically a left back to be debated about, a left 8 to be debated about, a left winger and a striker. So they're the 4 positions that we might need to look at addressing in the summer. Now, the left back could be a different one because obviously Miles Lewis-Skelly has been unbelievable this season. And a lot of people will say Calafiori can back him up. Timber can play there. So please, Mikel, don't go and get another left back. But the left 8 needs to be sorted. If it's Rice, I'm not a fan. I'd rather a double pivot. But we're going to need to go and address the midfield area, whatever you have a preference of. Whether Rice is a 6 or an 8 to you, we're going to need a 6 or an 8, yeah? The left wing's got to be sorted because Trossard looks like he might have to go because he's only got a year left and he doesn't want to sign. Martinelli, I think we should keep him. I like him. I still believe in him. I'm more towards the manager, not developing him, but I need to look at him individually as a kind of player now. And then I look at the striker situation and I just think it's the most obvious thing. And I actually think it's been neglect at Arsenal for not to get a striker before now. I'm absolutely, and let me make this clear, I have absolutely no problem getting rid of Aubameyang. I didn't want to. I loved Aubameyang. I thought he was brilliant. Won us the FA Cup, scored us a load of goals. When you look at his goals to game ratio, it's up there with the best at Arsenal in history, okay? I didn't want to get rid of him, but I had nothing wrong with getting rid of him. Where I had the issue was we didn't replace him. And that's the biggest problem I've got. No problem getting rid of Granit Xhaka, but replace him. I actually would have kept him in the squad, but he didn't want to be a squad player. That's fine. Let him go. But upgrade on him. Yeah? Either replace or upgrade. Because all we've done in this window, let's be real, is add another left-sided defender we didn't really need. Add a Merino midfielder that replaces El Neni. And add Raheem Sterling, who basically replaces Reece Nelson, but doesn't really particularly upgrade on him. In fact, he might be worse. On top of that, we sold Eddie, Vieira, and Smith Rowe and didn't bring anybody in to replace not just the 3 of them or the 2 of them, all 3 of them. We haven't even replaced one of them. We haven't replaced one of the guys. So I find it bizarre. I've got to be honest. I find it very bizarre that that's what's we did that summer. And I think we'll look towards that now. And we know, don't we, that it was bad. We know it was a bad thing. Yeah, it was a silly thing, if I'm honest with you. Look, before we start going into the kind of rumours and the suggestions around players, do me a favour. There's 430 of you in here currently. We've only got 80 likes. That's terrible. So let's make sure that we do 2 things. Hit the like button and subscribe button, please. It's free. And it really does help the channel grow. We're getting towards 40k now. So let's make sure that we hit the like and subscribe button. Make sure you're following Football Prizes on socials. Make sure you've clicked on the link in the description after this video and get your ticket in. It's 39 pence and you do not want to miss that opportunity, guys. So please make sure that you've done that. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the Real Madrid game, shall we? Before we come to the transfer news. Rumours of players being suspended. I don't think it's happening, people. I don't think it's happening. The UEFA have appointed an ethics and disciplinary inspector, apparently, to investigate alleged indecent conduct by players Rudiger, Mbappe, Vinicius Jr. and Dani Ceballos, who are believed to be the centre of gestures made by the players towards Atletico Madrid supporters. Now, apparently, there's been some gestures made to Real Madrid supporters, and they could all get a ban in the Champions League. Now, Arsenal fans are getting excited because if Real Madrid come to the Emirates without Mbappe, without Vinny Jr., without Rudiger, and without Dani Ceballos, they might actually be a lot weaker, and Arsenal might get a little bit of a ones-up over them by the time we get to the second leg. I will be absolutely stunned if these four get banned for this game. They're more likely to get a fine. They're more likely to get a club fine. They're more likely to get a disciplinary in another way. I do not want any kind of we beat Real Madrid because everyone was out type attitude. I just want to beat Real Madrid. That's what I want to do. I don't know that we can. I've not got confidence that we can. I'm not quietly confident that we can. I'm not even quietly confident that we can beat them in the first leg or in any leg. But I've got to try and believe. And the only way that I can believe and positive news is that Saka might be back. Now, a lot of people are saying, don't want to see him, don't want him playing for Arsenal. If we play him, it's a sackable offence from Arteta. It's not fair. He will be set back. I've accepted he's playing because he will be playing in the Fulham game for some length of time. He will be being brought on against Everton and he will be starting against Real Madrid. Now, people have then said, well, what's your 11 then? Well, look, it doesn't really matter because Saka's going to be playing whatever. Yeah. Saka will start against Real Madrid home and away. If he gets injured, on the club be it. And I'm absolutely with you there. If it ruins his career, I'll never forgive the club. But I'd like to think the fitness team and the coaching staff have done their checks, have gone through their protocols, and they believe him to be fit. It's not like they've trying to rush him for this Real Madrid game. I don't think. You can only go by what you listen to, what you read. You can have your opinions on it. I think if they was to play him and start him against Fulham, then start him against Everton, then yeah, I think they might be rushing him back a bit too quickly. But I do think that if they're bringing him in gradually, then I'd like to think that at least they've done everything that they can to try and get him back for this game. Now, if he isn't fit enough for it, we're going to lose him. And it's a massive, massive on the club if that happens. But the operations are not what Hazard and Owen and these guys had. So when these guys ruined their careers by rushing themselves back and were never quite the same, they didn't have the operation that's now makes your hamstring stronger from what professionals say and sports analysts say. Now, speaking to a physio a few days ago that I know who said, yeah, these operations, it does make it stronger, but you do have to be fit. You can't rush people back with it. You do absolutely have to be 100% for it. So I hope to think that that's the case. I hope to think that we're in a position where he absolutely 100% is able to play and we're not rushing him back. So that's where I'm at. Look, I think that there's always a chance within the Champions League due to the knockout stage. The problem you've got is, I'd say there's more of a chance against us against Atletico Madrid. There's more of a chance of us beating PSG and Villa in the next leg if we were to be successful. There's more of a chance of us winning in the final against Bayern, Barca, or Inter. I think this is the hardest game you can play in the European football. Liverpool tell you, they've been absolutely killed by Real Madrid. They've been hurt by Real Madrid so many times when they've played well. And that was a Liverpool side under Klopp that was winning Premier League titles, FA Cups, League Cups. It would be a huge shock if Arsenal were to get through. I think rival fans would admit it would be an unbelievable achievement for Arsenal to get through against Real Madrid. And a Real Madrid side that haven't been phenomenal this season. A Real Madrid side that have lost games in their La Liga league. There's a domestic cups. There's Champions League new formats where they had to qualify in the playoffs against Man City to get through. They have not been amazing. They've lost to Lille, I think. They lost to Brest. They lost to another team in La Liga that they got hammered by Barcelona by 5. They have not been good this season. But Real Madrid find a way. They won 3 in a row and they weren't the best in majority of those tournaments. They weren't the best last year. Dortmund, in fact, were better than them for majority of the first half in that final. But Real Madrid found a way. And I think that's now when you look at it for Arsenal, Arsenal have got to be a bit lucky against one of the luckiest teams in Europe. They've won 15 Champions Leagues. That's more trophies, more Champions Leagues than Arsenal have won titles in their history. They've won 15 Champions League. We've won 13 Premier League titles since the 1930. It's in 1930. So let's just be real. This is going to be a phenomenal task and a phenomenal ask for Arsenal. People have asked me what my 11 would be. If everybody is fit, apart from the long-term injuries, David Raya, Jurriën Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Miles Lewis-Skelly. I wouldn't play Timber and White because unless White can prove to me he's fit for that game, because he don't look it, then I'll keep Lewis-Skelly, and I don't think he's droppable at the moment. Partey, Rice and Odegaard. And then I would play Saka on the right, Martinelli on the left, and Ethan Nwaneri through the middle. And I would allow Ethan Nwaneri and Martinelli to switch with each other. Bringing Martinelli through the middle, letting Nwaneri go out on the left foot, put some balls in the box, cut back inside, cut through to Martinelli. And then you can switch it around even further than that if you wish. Trossard using him as a sub, which I think is what he is. Marino can come on and change the game with a different dimension if you really needed him to. And then obviously you've got the likes of Jorginho or Zinchenko or Tierney and all those guys are afterwards if you really are desperate. But for me right now, that's what I'd be doing. I don't want Marino up top. That's what I'm going to go with. What I think it will be, if I'm honest with you, I think he will play Marino or Trossard through the middle. And I think he'll have Martinelli and Saka either side. I'm not quite sure which one he's going to go with. At the moment, you'd like to think that he's probably looking at bringing in Saka and then you push one of them in the middle. But I think Trossard, he hasn't done great through the middle. And Marino, to be fair to him, actually has done quite well with scoring. He's actually not been much different to Kai Havertz, if I'm honest. People say we miss Kai Havertz. I'm not really sure that we do. Now, I don't think Marino's a striker, but I think that shows how poor Kai Havertz actually is, to be honest with you. I've got to be real. So that's where we're at against Real Madrid. So we'll see, won't we? We'll have to see where we're at with it. Some people are a hell of a lot more confident than others. Some are saying it's the dead game and it's not going to mean anything because it's kind of, we haven't got our best players. I would disagree with that. I'm not saying we have got our best players, but there's only one player out. Havertz. That's it. Yeah, you can say Jesus and Tomiyasu are long-term injury, but that is literally it. So we'll have 3 players out. 2 of them have to be our number 9s, which is frustrating. But let's be real. I don't think Havertz and Jesus are like, we ain't beating Real Madrid. We ain't got Havertz or Jesus. So all these we're depleted and we can't put out 11. It's just all waffle, guys. It really is. This is the squad. If you don't think it's good enough, blame the board and Arteta. That's what we've got to say. That's what we've got to say. So that's where I'm at. Okay. Let's take a look at the transfer rumours. And I know it's not transfer window time, but we have to discuss it because there's been a lot of talk. And all we do is share, people. All we do is share. Guess what? We're linked with another goalkeeper. Look, I am laughing tongue-in-cheek because we know that Neto's going to be leaving, right? So we actually do need another goalkeeper. And from what I hear, and I don't watch this guy, but I watched him a little bit today because I had a bet on Atletico and they let me down. They played Atletico Madrid and he looks like a good goalkeeper, I have to say. He actually looks like a goalkeeper who actually has a little bit of an all-round to his game. The Athletic is stating that Arsenal want Joan Garcia to be the number 2 to David Raya, and he's open to the move. Now, I believe the price is around about 22 million. I think it's 25 million euros, which isn't cheap for a goalkeeper of second choice. However, I think that's probably what you're going to have to pay if you do want him to come in. Now, at least with him this season, Neto has not even been trusted to play in more than one game this season. And that was in the dead rubber against Girona, where he came out of his goal and then he saved it with his hands. So it filled nobody with any confidence that he was good enough. When you look at what Juan Garcia could be, he actually might next season play all of the domestic cup games. I think what we'll do is we'll go back to playing goalkeepers in 2 competitions each. David Raya will play in the Champions League and the Premier League, and then Joan Garcia will play in the League Cup and the FA Cup. Obviously, if we do get to a stage in the format similar next year in the Champions League and we've got a few dead rubbers, then Joan Garcia might play in those as well, like Neto did this season. So I feel like there'll be more opportunities for Joan Garcia next season if he was to come to the Arsenal. I don't think it's a bad signing. I don't hate the sound of it. I don't dislike it. And if I'm honest with you, it's probably the least important of my priorities, to be honest. I wouldn't really care if it's John Garcia or Thomas Setford just gets put into the backups, because how often we play the backup goalkeeper is so rare, unless David Raya was to get long-term injury. Then yeah, you've got to be pretty unlucky. Like Allison gets injured quite a bit. Mamardashvili and Kelleher are clearly good enough. Kelleher would be a good signing, by the way, but he's not going to want to come from Liverpool's number 2 to Arsenal's number 2. He's going to want to play first team football, and Chelsea have been massively linked with both him and Aaron Ramsdale, funny enough. So see what happens there. But John Garcia could be a good move for Arsenal. From what I hear, he's a pretty good goalkeeper. Okay, so be interested in that one. I'm not going to read out the other transfer news that relates to it. However, I was going to bring up this because Alexander Isak is being linked yet again with more moves. I think he's staying at Newcastle. I just do not see how he's going to be leaving Newcastle after the season they had when they've won a trophy. They had their parade today. And I think if they get Champions League football via the top 5 in the league, which I think they will, I think he's going to be staying put. However, Liverpool are doing all they can, apparently, and it's gaining traction. The club's hierarchy are confident that a deal can be done, which means that they're probably going to be looking to spend 120 to 150 million on Alexander Isak. Now, will they be able to spend that much money and keep the likes of Salah and Trent and Van Dijk, where it looks like Trent's obviously going to Real Madrid now? I don't think they can afford all that. I don't think FSG, they're like the Cronkies. They don't put money out like that. So I think for me, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens, if I'm honest with you. But it could be interesting. I just think that Isak's just not for sale. I think he's unobtainable. I just do not believe it's going to happen. If we move up further, there's also some rumours on Joan Garcia again, stating that United, PSG, Leverkusen, Madrid and Atletico Madrid are also all interested in Joan Garcia as well as Arsenal. So there will definitely be some competition, but we've been linked with him for quite some time now, and it looks as if he is interested in a move to Arsenal. So that could be quite interesting. So watch the space here. Then we come to Sesko. And this one, it just won't go away, will it? It just won't go away. Benjamin Sesko. AC Milan and Bayern Munich are also interested in signing Benjamin Sesko, but Leipzig striker favours a move to the Premier League. Arsenal and Manchester United are the two clubs that are keen on the 21-year-old. Now, let me talk on Sesko just a little bit. People have got it very wrong about Sesko with what I believe about him. I don't think Sesko is a waste. I don't think Sesko is a shocking player. I don't think Sesko is going to be a player that flops. I think he'll go on and have a good career somewhere. But my question mark is the following. Is he ready now? Is he the guy that walks into Arsenal, wins them the Premier League by scoring 25 goals in the Premier League? And I think the answer is no. Now, he scored 16 or 17 goals, I think, so far for Leipzig, which is pretty good in all competitions. But that's not enough to go and get you a Premier League title. Now, Sesko would be fine to come in as backup, but we've already got Havertz and Jesus. So if we're bringing in Sesko, he's the guy. He will not be playing as backup, or if he is, it'll be to Havertz. So I don't feel like we're in a position where we can be extremely excited by Sesko. A lot of people are and say that he'd be a really good talent and potentially excellent, can strike a football well, score all sorts of goals. If you look at his highlights reel, he looks like a brilliant player. But I have done that before. We're just 4 subscribers away from 36.6, by the way, people. Who's not hit subscribe yet? Let's get the subscribers up to close to 37k as we can. Come on, people. Let's get close to the big 4-0, which is the next target. So hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit like as well on this video. We've only got 125 likes. We've got nearly 500 of you that are still in here. So make sure that you're hitting the like and the subscribe button, because both of them are really important. And big up to you guys. One of you has. We're now at 36597. Let's get to 36600. Come on. 3 people just need to hit subscribe that haven't already. That's it. And then we're there. Big up to you guys. Look, I mean, Mum's in the chat talking about the Ipswich striker. Look, I like Liam Delap. I do. I think that Liam Delap's an excellent player. But again, like Sesko, he's coming in as a backup for me. We need somebody that's going to upgrade on him. I'm more than happy to let Jesus go, let Havertz be a squad player, and have Sesko behind Alexander Isak or Sesko behind Victor Gyökeres. But I don't want Sesko as the number one striker. And I think if he comes in at Arsenal, he's going to be that guy. There's another report suggesting that Sesko is obviously wanted by Arsenal. Let's touch on this actually. Apparently, Saudi are in for 84 million for Kudus, and he's believed to be open to going to Saudi. That's from Ben Jacobs. Player I've always liked, player that I'd take at Arsenal, but if he's heading towards Saudi, that's bad news for West Ham because he's a top player. Mind you, it's not like they're not getting any money for him, that's for sure. Sport has also said that Sesko is expected to leave Leipzig this summer. There's a release agreement starting at 70 million euros. That's around about 63 million or 62 million, I think, something like that. Arsenal, United, AC Milan, and Bayern Munich are all interested. Now, out of those clubs, if he does want a Premier League move, Arsenal have got to be the favourites. I don't think he would go to Manchester United over Arsenal. I think he's guaranteed first-team football at either, but the positions of both clubs means that he's probably more likely to get closer to a Premier League title next season at Arsenal than he is at Manchester United. But wages will be a massive, massive thing. And if we're putting Kai Havertz, our number 9, on 290k a week, and our backup striker Jesus on 265, Sesko ain't going to come in for 50 grand a week, which is probably what he's on now, by the way. I don't know what he's on, but I imagine that he's on a fair whack, but nowhere near what he's on. So he's on 10 million a year, 10 million euros a year, which is, I don't even know, around about 100 million, is it, a year? Something like that? No, it's not. 10 million a year. It's more than that. He's on about 200 a year, isn't he? That's quite a lot then. So he's on quite a lot. Annual salary. No, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing here. Capology, that's normally pretty good. So he's on 90k a year. There you go. That makes sense. So he's on about 90k a year. And that makes about sense. He can't be. I must have clicked on the wrong thing there. There's no way he's on 10 million a year. That's crazy. 10 million euros a year. Sesko's salary at Leipzig has been increased to around 10 million euros a year, making him one of the highest paid players at the club. Where's that coming from? Copology's saying he's on about 90 grand a week, which would make more sense. But either way, if he's on that, he's going to want a ridiculous amount of money at Arsenal because he's looking at what the other players are on. He's looking at Saka, he's looking at Saliba, he's looking at Gabriel. He's thinking, well, they're going to sign a contract soon, and it's going to be 300 grand that they're going to want. So I want 250 at least. That's a lot of money for a 21-year-old to be putting on. Absolutely crazy. So look, Sesko, I'm not a hater. People think I am. I'm not a hater. He just doesn't excite me as much as some of the other names. That's literally all it is. Yeah, that's literally all it is. So that's Sesko. Look, I personally, I really like Gyökeres. I really like Gyökeres, but that would be the one I get. Villa, really interested in Arda Güler. If he's available, would love him from Real Madrid. Think he'd be excellent. I would love Kirkes as our left back. I think he's phenomenal, but we will not be getting another left back, I don't think. Liverpool look very, very much the favourites for him. Pep Guardiola's trying to sign Jude Bellingham. Victor Osimhen, apparently Manchester United. He'd be willing to join them. 63 million release clause. That would be a phenomenal signing for anyone in the Premier League. Chelsea, Arsenal, United, Liverpool. I honestly believe that would be superb. But I want Victor Gyökeres. He's the guy that I want. I don't want, if we can't get Isak, it's Gyökeres. If we can't get Isak or Gyökeres, it's Harry Kane. If we can't get Harry Kane, it's Victor Osimhen. And then it drops down for me massively. And I'd go for the likes of Sesko, Jonathan David, Hugo Ekitike, Retegui from Atalanta. They're the sort of names that I'd then get. So that's what I'll be looking at in that kind of order of priority. But a few hours ago, it was reported that Edu carried out a huge amount of work to complete a £51 million deal for Martin Zubimendi. There's still reports about this. Now, a lot of reports also suggested over the last 48 hours or so that, in fact, Real Madrid were very much interested in Zubimendi as well. Now, if Real Madrid are interested in Zubimendi, he's probably going to go to Real Madrid. Let's just be real about it, yeah? It's very interesting for me that there's this kind of hoo-ha about what Zubimendi wants to do. There's quite a lot of talk saying that it's going to be spoken about as a release clause that's been agreed already. And Sammy Mockbell and David Ornstein stated, didn't they, that Arsenal have signed him. I don't know how we can. I don't know how we can sign him when the transfer window is not open. We need clearly to have the transfer window open to be able to release the clause of his contract of £51 million or whatever it is. And it hasn't been open. So how do we sign this guy? We can tap him up, which is apparently illegal, but we all know everyone does it, and say, would you like to come to Arsenal in the summer? And he can say yes, and we could already agree the personal terms, but we need to actually physically release the clause. He needs to want to come. If he wants to stay in Spain at Real Madrid, then go for it. And people will say, why do you want to go to Real Madrid? He won't get into the first team. They don't work like that. Real Madrid don't look at it and go, right, I've got this player here. Right, I've got my 11. They go, I've got my 25. And Zubimendi will come in and he'll fight for his place alongside Camavinga, alongside Tchouaméni, alongside Jude Bellingham, alongside Valverde, alongside Luka Modric. That's what they'll do. That's where I'm at. Apparently, Gyökeres scored a brace and an assist tonight. The guy's killing it, man. Absolutely killing it. Killing it. Apparently, we've hit 36.6. Big up to everyone that's allowed us to do that. Let me just check to make sure that we have. It looks like we have, and we have smashed it. We're at 36,602. Big up to all of you. Thank you so, so much. Hit the like and subscribe. Really appreciate that. Let's get to 40K ASAP, people. Let's do it. Okay, this one comes in from Suj. He says, big up Dan and the community. Big up to you, Suj. If Berta comes in and terminates Havertz and Jesus, he must get a mural. I'm not fussed about Zubimendi. Bring me Bruno G or Tonali. I like those names, Suj. And I like the fact that Havertz and Jesus could be cold, but I don't think that's going to happen, man. I don't think they'll get rid of these two. I think Havertz and Jesus, for me, will be two of these kind of players that will probably be squad players. Jesus will be injured and then come and be available for Saudi Arabia potentially, or back to Brazil in January. And then Havertz will be staying as a squad player. He will. That's what I think will happen, to be fair. Andrew, big up to you. Keep it going, Dan. 50K getting closer. Let's get to 40 first, my guy. But thank you all so much for subscribing and for helping us get to that target, of course. The other thing Suj says that I agreed with is the Newcastle midfield. I actually think there's a lot of players that walk into this Arsenal side, man. A lot of players walk into this Arsenal side. I think there'd be players that walk into this Arsenal squad as well. Livramento and Lewis Hall would get into the Arsenal squad, as would Sven Botman, as would Tonali, Bruno G, and Joe Linton. They'd all walk into Arsenal's squad. Some of them would start. Anthony Gordon and Isak both would as well. Let's just be real. Got a good side, Newcastle. I don't think we're selling any of them. I don't think they're selling any of them. I don't think we're going to be able to get any of them. I like Reinders or Morgan Rogers for an 8. I like Zubimendi and Adam Wharton for a 6. He was unbelievable today, by the way, Adam Wharton. He's going to be an absolutely incredible footballer. I like Eze as well. I like Premier League players like Eze, like Mbeumo, like Cunha. I like Mitoma. I like João Pedro. If I'm honest with you, I like Morgan Gibbs-White. I think he's a baller. I like Milenkovic and Murillo. So there's players that are playing in the Premier League right now that I look at and think, yeah, I like them. I like Kirkes. I like Semenyo. So players at those teams that are doing pretty well at the moment, I'm interested in some of those and seeing how they're doing. I really am. So let's see. So look, we are, in my opinion, going to be linked with everybody now that Andrea Berta is going to be announced. We have to be realistic about it. We have to look at the Isaks and think maybe they're unattainable. If anybody links us with Florian Wirtz, it would be a dream, but it's probably not going to happen because I think he's linked with Man City for about 100 million. It's going to be a lot of money. It's going to cost a lot of money. And if I'm honest with you, I can see and understand why it's probably going to cost a lot of money. Arsenal need to be looking at it now as the biggest summer that we've had in some time. Look, to close, a lot of people have spoken about this in the chat. So I wanted to talk about it. I've absolutely no idea what this club is about. But it does seem like Arsenal are more interested in dating and Love Island than they are anything else at the moment. I have absolutely no idea what this club is doing PR-wise. but it does look as though this has come out. Arsenal are trialing a new take on off-field approach. Partnerships launching their own equivalent of a reality TV dating show. I mean, is this actually serious here? What is happening at this football club, man? What is going on here? It's absolute madness, isn't it? It's crazy. It really is crazy. Apparently, I don't know if you can read this, but I've put it up on screen for you. Match days at the Emirates Stadium are a time to connect with the beautiful game and each other. Now, let's stop there. We can connect with the beautiful game. A lot of things have to change if we're going to connect with a beautiful game. Let me tell you that. We connect with each other, that's for sure. But none of us connect with each other to date at the ground. Oh, my word. If you said to your date, oh, well, I'll tell you what we'll do is we'll go for a nice drink. Oh, where do you want to go? Just local bar? No, I'll take you to the Emirates. That's where we fall in love there. Bizarre. Very bizarre. It's for this reason that we're launching a new dating show that celebrates how a shared love of football can prove a catalyst for an even deeper romance. We're calling on our single supporters in the UK to apply to be part of the production, which will involve attending a blind date with a fellow Gooner centred around an Arsenal game. If you'd like to be a participant and are up for the opportunity of meeting your perfect match, please submit your application below. My goodness, shall I do it? I'm single. Let's do it, shall I? Oh, how crazy is this? Honestly, how crazy is this? This is madness. What is going on here? What is actually happening here? People will definitely be applying for that, by the way. They absolutely will be applying for that. Like, real talk. Like, this is crazy, man. This is crazy for me. I don't get it. I find it bizarre. And, you know, a lot of people who I think James was talking about on AFTV, everyone was saying, let's get Ty a date and let's get these single gooners a date. Crikey. I'll tell you what, I find it bizarre. They're in a position where people are actually going to be going for this. My goodness. My goodness, what's going on? Absolute clown base of a club, haven't we? Let's just be real. Absolutely madness that Arsenal are more interested in getting these. And that'll be another PR thing. We're trying to connect people. We're trying to find matches for the beautiful game. We're trying to find women and men that get together, or men and men that get together through Arsenal. And it's us that's got them together. The club of all this rubbish. Just win me a damn trophy, man. Stop bringing this crap out, man. I can't stand all this stuff. It's new merch. It's a dog. It's books. It's China vases. Every week we've got something different. Now it's dating services. Just win me a damn trophy, man. Oh, dear me. It's absolutely insane. My goodness. Anyway, I wanted to end on a positive, and I've ended up ranting. So apologies for that. That is crazy. Absolutely mad. I heard about it. I thought James was mucking around what he was doing on AFTV. I thought it was one of AFTV's little spin-off games that they sometimes play, but this is serious. Wow. This is actually a serious thing. Crazy. Listen, people, make sure you hit like and subscribe, and we get to where we need to be. The big 4-0 is realistic now, and it's within touching distance. I'm going to see who else is live. I think Guns is live. I think he's watching Real Madrid. So let's go head over to, let's go send them over there. Let's go send you over to Gunner, and everyone going to ask him if he's going to join up for the dating thing. That's what we can do, yeah? Go ask Guns if he thinks that he knows anyone that's going to be joining Arsenal's new dating app, because he will absolutely rinse it over there. It'll be worth you talking to him about that. Trust me. What do you think of Arsenal's new dating site, or whatever the hell it is? Lee reacts. Where are we? There he is. He's with Dave as well. Skegness Dave is over there as well. So go show them some love. Say Dan Potts raid. Say Dan Potts sent me, and go and ask him, if he's going to be interested. What goes? Just say, what do you think of Arsenal's new dating approach or dating site? Real talk. Just go and ask, because he will go absolutely nuts. Trust me. If he hasn't heard this, go and have some fun, people. Right, big up, hit the like, hit subscribe. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks for all your interactions. I do really appreciate it. And thanks for getting us towards 40K. We'll see you next time. Big up. Go show Lee some love. And remember what to spam. I'll see you over there.